Hello and welcome to Totally Addicted to Tech. I am thrilled to be joined this morning by Hollie Whittles, who is the director of Purple Frog, a data analytics consultancy, also the regional chair of FSB for the West Midlands, and also the owner of FraggleWorks. How does she fit it all in? We're going to find out. Hey, Hollie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Gosh, so many hats to wear. How do you fit all that into your diary?
Do you know, a lot of people ask that question, and the only way is by having tech time out. Otherwise, my brain will explode.
Absolutely. So I'm really interested in just telling a bit more about the story. So you're obviously a brand ambassador of Tech Time Out, which we're absolutely thrilled to have you on board, sort of supporting the work that we're doing. But you were very Tech Time Out before Tech Time Out even existed. So yeah, I'd be really interested to hear like how you came about and your journey in terms of like digital overload and Tech Time Out, the importance of Tech Time Out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I've always been like in the digital space, so I've had to use technology and computers, from a very early age. But I was starting to find that I felt really overwhelmed. And then my passion's always been music. That's been my hobby. So I was finding that I was using that as my tech time out. And then I started thinking about, well, I'm doing all these talks and webinars about using things like social media and digital transformation. And I'm actually telling people that they need to be using all of this stuff more. And I started thinking about the impact on their mental health and how they can then balance it, because if you start introducing loads of social media platforms, you're going to get more messages and notifications. So, as a busy entrepreneur or business owner, how do you manage that? So I started then doing talks on digital detox. So it was about being online whilst you're offline. So what could you automate? What can you schedule? What can you do to work smarter, not harder? And then I think that was around the time that I then sort of connected with you, and you were thinking about doing tech time out. It's almost like all paths were leading together. So we've come at it from completely different angles, but I've been, like you say, very passionate about this for a long time.
Yeah, because you work in a very sort of technical role, within a very technical business, and then obviously you do training. Like a lot of it is kind of online, isn't it? Like you do a lot of stuff, like you're in front of screens quite a lot of the time, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the global pandemic's only made it worse, because in the other business that I run, FraggleWorks, I was doing talks, but actually a lot of this was in person to rooms of people. And then when the pandemic happened, everyone was like, well, can you still deliver it, but can you deliver it online? And then pretty much all of that work in consultancy is now just on screens. Yeah. And I think that's really, really difficult when you're trying to engage people and make them feel like they're not just stuck to a computer the whole time. Yeah. So again, I then evolved my digital detox talk into how you can better manage tech. So things like if you use Outlook to manage your calendar, and the meeting doesn't necessarily have to be an hour long. Why not change it to 50 minutes? Then you're giving yourself 10 minutes to go make a cup of tea, go outside, run around the block, whatever. Yeah. And it's about being more healthy whilst using tech, which connects us all.
Yeah. Oh, I love that tip. That's a great one. That I always say, work expands to the length of time that you have. So yes. You put it in for an hour, you'll talk for an hour. Put it in 40 minutes, you'll talk 40 minutes. So yeah, no, that's a great tip. So have you found that a lot of the work is now online for FraggleWorks?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, pretty much all of it is online. So it's either one-to-one consultancy, delivering talks or webinars. I can't actually remember the last time I did something in person. So it's actually really, really strange, because the reason why I set FraggleWorks up was it was kind of my way of giving back and actually seeing people in the room and seeing their faces light up. Because when I do a talk or a webinar, I don't just like to rattle at them. I like them to understand and think, oh, I understand what she's talking about, and I can go and look that up. So I give them tools or systems or websites that I use myself, they can then go and look up. And I love feeling that feedback in the room. And it's really hard when you're trying to deliver the same thing over Zoom or Teams, and everyone's got the cameras off, and there's dogs barking and doorbells ringing, and you just don't know whether people are engaged or not. And then you deliver something and there's no feedback. You're like, was anyone there? Have I just been talking to myself for half an hour? So yeah, I'm looking forward to when that sort of stuff gets back in person again. But it's about a new hybrid world now, finding new ways of working. And even things like the employees in our business before lockdown, everyone was 100% of the time in the office, whereas having to work from home, we already had the infrastructure in place. Luckily, we because we use things like Microsoft Teams daily, we've already got VPNs and secure ways of communicating, because a lot of the clients that we support are global, so we've never met them. So we've had all that, but I'm very concerned about people's mental health and well-being, and purely just working from home, I think, is not good for people, because I think they still need to see physically the whites of each other's eyes to connect. So we've now transitioned our business to more of a hybrid approach, where they can work from home if they want to, they can come into the office if they want to. And actually, that's been a positive that's come out of, the past 2 years that we've had.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that's right. I think the hybrid model is one that a lot of businesses are now adopting, for various reasons, like you say, in terms of you can get things done, but also the importance of being connected and having an engaged team kind of working together. With that sorry.
One of my staff actually said to me that he was actually working for someone else. He's one of our newer members of the team, and he said that he was actually finding that he was becoming addicted to his home, because in his previous employment he was just working from home 100% of the time, and he developed a very unhealthy relationship, was constantly checking it. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly why we're doing this hybrid model, because we want to look after your mental health and well-being.
Yeah, it's so important to get away from it all, isn't it? And that break. You've got quite an interesting tech time out hobby, haven't you? So you're like, which I only learned I think was it whenever it was. I didn't know about you before. So yeah, tell us about what you do.
so I suppose you'd describe me as a semi-professional musician. I get paid to do my hobby, so I go and play in shows and musicals. I play with the Birmingham Philharmonic Orchestra, and I've always blended that between running a business and doing what I love, and that's why I set the business up. And so I had that flexibility to go and do things that I love doing. And when you're playing in an orchestra, or you're playing with people, you're using listening skills, you're communicating, you're working as a team. And I actually then evolved that thought into delivering a TEDx talk on all these different skills that I was learning in the musical world, how I've used them in my business world. And essentially it's about having that balance and having that tech time out. And everyone has something that they were good at, whether it was drawing or sports or music. There's something in your lives and I just want people to remember that feeling and think, oh, actually, why did I stop playing tennis, or why did I stop drawing, and get that instrument back out the cupboard again, start playing it again.
I love that. Just brilliant how you fit it all in. It's amazing. It's really amazing. Like, just really fantastic. So what you're a busy entrepreneur, you've got you're director of Purple Frog, you've got board responsibilities, you've got hobbies, you've also got FraggleWorks, you're doing training, you're doing interviews, you're going down to Parliament, like with this really sort of like hectic sort of schedule, what are some, and I think there's lots of people that are in a they're very, very busy. We've got lots, like, life is very busy, isn't it? Like, there's lots of stuff going on. How do you what would be like your advice to someone who's got all this busyness and is really struggling to disconnect? Like, what would be your like top tip for them?
I think you have to be really, really organized with your time. Chunk your time into blocks. So everything runs through my calendar. So I look at it on my smartphone, my tablet, my laptop, everything is synced together. If I put it in one, it goes across all of them. So I'm really uber efficient with my time. I try and turn off notifications that I don't need. So sometimes if you pick up your iPhone and you turn it on and you've got loads of red dots everywhere. I was reading a fascinating book about breaking up your phone, but in it they talk about the curse of the red dot. So a simple thing that I do is I just turn off those notifications. So when I look at my phone, I know that I've got 10 minutes free where I can spend some time scrolling through some stuff, and I choose when I'm going to go into social media, not the other way around. If you look at it and you've got 50 million red dots. And then apps that I know that are taking up too much of my time, I move them off the home screen. So I try and manage, how, so I don't get into a habit of checking them too often. So if they're not in front of you, then you're not going to check them as often, because there's a whole thing on persuasive design with these smartphones. The way that they design them is to trick you to stay on them. So things like, the 3 ellipsis dots when people are typing, it's triggering a stress response in you. So you stay on the phone thinking, oh, what are they going to type? Is it good? Is it bad? It's all part of the design of the phone. So I'm really good at managing my time, my notifications, when I check my emails, and meeting management as well. Like if I don't need to have the meeting, I will say, actually, I don't need to be at that one, or actually, should we just do that in half an hour? It doesn't need to be an hour meeting, or do I actually need to be at that meeting at all? So it's just about being really organized, I think, is the biggest tip, because I've been there where I've allowed my inbox to explode, and having a massive to-do list, and you very, very quickly feel out of control and very, very overwhelmed. So I try not to procrastinate as well. If something comes in and I could do it very, very quickly, I would just get it done. Because the other thing I used to do a lot was I would leave things I didn't like doing, like anything to do with figures and numbers, hate. So I just do them now because I feel so much better thinking, oh, I've just done all my bookkeeping, I've done all that invoicing, done all those payments. You feel better. The other thing that I found as well is decluttering the stuff around you. The actual space that you're in has a massive impact on how your mind and your brain's feeling. So trying to have a home that feels decluttered and hasn't got stuff around you, which is, my husband would start screaming with laughter if he heard me saying this, because I'm a hoarder. I just keep everything. So I have to be very, very controlled. But I do things like that. It's mainly about being organized, I would say, and having systems and strategies. If you know that you're not naturally organized, use tools that will help you. So you can set up rules in your inbox to move things into the right place, so you read them when you want to read them. There are things that you can sign up for unsubscribing to all the the rubbish emails that we get. So being organized, I think.
Be organized. I think that's a good tip. I like the chunking your time down as well with that. And I think procrastination is a huge topic as well. So I think it's great that you don't procrastinate too much, and I think it's probably, I might put your words in your mouth, but I think so when you feel like you're procrastinating, you probably just need a break.
Yeah, exactly. You take yourself away from it, go for a walk, go and get a coffee, whatever it is, come back to it. If you're not in the right headspace, it's not going to happen. And I always talk about this when I'm doing goal setting. It's not just about the goals for your business, it's the goals for you as a person. And if you're not happy as a person, then your business isn't going to succeed. So it's very, very simple. You've got to look after yourself first. Absolutely. Then everything else will flow.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's some great tips in there. And just interested in some of we were talking just before the recording on some of the key topics that you're on at the moment with the FSB board. I was wondering, what's happening? What's the news on the grapevine?
Yes, the Federation of Small Businesses, or FSB, they approached me to take up this regional chair's position for the West Midlands, which means that I'm getting involved in conversations at a more national level. So anything from like digital infrastructure to supplier chains to big projects like HS2, late payments, national insurance, all of these things that affect businesses. And it's adding a rural West Midlands voice to the mix, you know. So when I'm sitting in meetings when they're all talking about, you know, the wonders of 5G, and I'm like, well, you know, in Shropshire we haven't got 3G in some places. Shall we fix that before we start doing 5G? You know, and when people are trying to work from home, you know, if they haven't got sufficient capacity, we need to fix those kinds of things. So it's just really interesting getting involved in those conversations, and especially with really big projects where you've got huge multinational companies involved, and the government is trying to encourage small businesses to be part of that procurement supply chain, and late payments is a massive issue. So they're starting to sort of say, you're not going to get that contract unless you guarantee that you're going to pay all those people in the chain on time, because, you know, as a small business, you know, 90-day terms is quite long, and then if people aren't even paying it then, that's a massive peak and trough of your cash flow trying to manage it. So you know, one thing that we did as a business was we signed up to the Good Business Charter. So if you put into Google, goodbusinesscharter.co.uk comes up, but that is all about the ethics, the morality of your business, paying each other on time, looking after diversity, inclusion, all of those good things that you should be doing as part of your business. So again, I encourage people to sign up to that as well, and it's something that the FSB championed when it launched.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it's so important, isn't it, that late payment? I mean, there are tons of really important issues there, but you know, I think the article that you wrote recently around, or like the information you're sharing around, you know, if you could just pay people on time, that would help small businesses hugely. Like just give them the cash that they need in order to spend and to keep everything turning. So yeah, some brilliant. It's great to have like a voice, and that's amazing. So if people have got kind of things, how would a business like go about kind of contributing to some of these kind of bigger conversations? Is there like a forum that you can get involved in?
Yeah, I mean, there's always loads of networking events, but you can feed it back through to the FSB various different ways, either through like the local business boards, through the FSB Connect events, or by directing it to myself or one of the area leads. And these are the regional chair position that I've got, and also the area lead positions. There's always like an area leader for each county. They're voluntary positions, and they're business owners just like you or I that want to get involved in more of a national conversation. So any kind of feedback that people can pass on, I can then pass back through the FSB. And quite often what's happened is they've then arranged roundtables with MPs to actually discuss that specific topic. So, you know, when we were going through things like Brexit and people were concerned about exporting, there was a lot of chatter about the physical export of goods. And I was kind of one of the minority going, hey, actually, we export digitally. What's going to go on with that? And everyone was like, oh, I hadn't really thought about that. So, you know, next minute I found myself at a round table talking to MPs. So they can open doors, which is what I really like. So me, one of the area leads, there's various different ways of getting in touch.
Great. So we can talk to Boris about Tech Time Out next week, right? We can just sort that out.
Yeah, I'll just call him up, it'll be fine.
No worries. Okay, great. Brilliant. Interestingly, I met someone that was doing a similar thing in Portugal for tech companies in terms of lobbying for sort of MPs for that. And I think there should be more governance and requirements on tech companies to be more responsible in terms of the like warnings that they give to the end user in terms of the use of the product. So that's something that I would like to see sort of progressing. If there's ever any, like, we can just get them to sort that. If I can just leave that with you, that would be great.
Yeah, okay. I'll see what I can do.
but no, that's really great. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, and thanks for those kind of brilliant top tips. And keep doing the amazing work, and look forward to seeing you at an orchestra soon, or a business meeting, or one of the other various different things that you get up to.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much for asking me.
Thanks, Holly. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.